Hey, what's happening? It is it's a drink with Derek, and also a drink with my buddy Dwayne Gill. How are you, sir, my friend? Dwayne Gill, who's a comedian, he's a Marine, he's a cop. His website is DwayneGill.com. He's got a brand new podcast that just came out recently called Dwayne Gill Show. You can hear him on Sirius XM satellite radio. His comedy CD is called Totally Doable. He's also a keynote speaker. You cover everything, my friend. You do.
Well, you taught me. You taught me to have streams of income, Derek.
Multiple streams of income. You have to, especially in this pandemic COVID-19 crap that we're going through right now. And
oh my God,
you got to keep stuff coming in from all different angles. And I'm having a what are you drinking over there? I'm just having a little bit of Irish coffee. So
I'm having Titos. Let's see if we can get this thing straight. Brought to you straight from Titos Vodka. I'm a guy that drinks that, and I'm here alone, drinking alone. So that's what I do. I've got problems.
Just drinking straight up vodka. That looks like orange juice in there. Is that a screwdriver you got going?
I do, because I'm a tool man. So I'm all about the screwdrivers. Yeah. Tool man.
So many directions I could go with that.
I know, right? I am a tool.
Million ones. Hey, you're a comedian. Give me your favorite street joke.
Oh man, I remember this joke I heard one time, and this guy he said. I remember it was a cop that told me this joke. He said he pulled over this pastor once, and he said, "Hey, pastor, how you doing?" He said, "I'm doing just fine, young man." He says, "Are you drinking something?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "What you got?" "Oh, just a little bit of water." He said, "Let me see it." Cop took a sip of it and said, "Pastor, this ain't water. This is wine." Pastor looked at him and said, "Damn it, Jesus done it again." Nice little clean street joke, right there.
I love it. That is a nice little clean street joke. You've been you're a cop right now. You're only a couple years away from retirement.
Man,
I know you're excited because I see the countdown every once in a while on your social media pages. So
2 years, 1 month, and 9 days. I gotta get that big check, Derek. That's right.
Did you ever have any duty check and Halloween candy?
I was really fortunate not to have that, but I did have it at my household. Back when my kids were young, I used to take them and I would always check the candy. But, Halloween, man, for cops, we usually don't, a lot of us didn't go out on Halloween because, you don't want to get no high-speed chase and then run over some baby ghouls and ghosts and goblins running down the street. So, yeah, Halloween is good for the police. Just so you know, okay? All right? It's not good, especially in Detroit. And you know that. You've been there.
Yeah. Well, I remember growing up in Detroit, and we never actually went to the police station because sometimes the police would set up even at the school, and you'd take your candy there and drop off all the candy, and the cops would go digging through it, looking for razor blades and needles because people were stupid.
Yeah, but you know what? They said that's an urban myth that never really happened.
I never saw anything in any candy. I mean, immediately if somebody gave us an apple, we just tossed it because we're like, that just seems really creepy. My parents were like, if it's not wrapped up tight and not sealed by the company, we're not touching it. So
we're not touching it. Yeah. Good to go.
I know. How often have you dated somebody through the years and they wanted you to dress up in the cop uniform and do a little role play? Come on, be honest with me.
Oh, man. Well, Derek, I was a faithfully married man for many years. Faithfully married. But I will tell you this much. Let's put it this way. Instead of me, I'm sure it's probably been a couple of times that I've had a uniform shirt on a female, with nothing else, maybe, and a hat and maybe some handcuffs. That may have happened a couple times. It may even happen now, especially that I'm single, because I keep a couple of shirts at home nowadays. Baby, it's something to sleep in. You know what I'm saying? Hey. Some women out here got some really crazy fetishes. I'm just gonna say, I'm
sure that.
You get the ones that want you to take your gun out, and of course it would be unloaded and stuff, and want you to, rub it around on them and stuff. I mean, that's a whole nother story. That's not for this podcast. So.
That's for the one that you got to pay $12.95 for.
There you go. That's the OnlyFans one.
That's the only fan room. That's good. There's got to be, and you always end up hearing these stories. First off, is there any realistic cop show that's out there on television?
For me, Derek, I think the most realistic cop show that I ever seen in my life, like years ago, was The Wire on HBO. Did you ever watch The Wire?
I did not. I heard good stuff about it, but I never watched it.
The Wire. It was based in Baltimore, and they gave that perspective point of view from the drug dealers as well as the cops on the war on drugs back in the day. And I, as a police officer, think that was about the best realistic portrayal of police officers, what we do on a daily basis in regard to not only dealing with citizens and bad guys, but also the politics of working in police work. Because believe me, man, there's a lot of politics when you work in the police department. I mean, more so than I ever thought in my entire life. You know what I'm saying?
No, I can't imagine. I mean, and well, I want to ask some more about your other police work, but obviously in light of recent circumstances that went down, when
absolutely.
you first saw that George Floyd video, what went through your mind? Were you there at the station when you saw the video, or were you at home and saw it, and then the next day you went, "Oh, this is not good"?
Well, first of all, I've been at home since March the 15th. Okay, because I'm working from home because I'm over recruiting, so I'm a staff person. So I don't work anymore, and for me to arrest somebody, they're gonna have to run into a building. They got to run into my building. Okay. They got to drive the car into my building for me to arrest them. Okay, so let's just get that clear. But when I did see it, oh my God, I saw it like that night. I saw it on Twitter. I saw the picture of this guy on this guy's neck, and I was like, what in the hell is this guy doing? And then when I saw the video and saw how long he was on there and how he had his hand in his pocket and the arrogant look on his face, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be bad. And the guy was begging for his life. I'm like, why? And then the Asian cop, just standing there not doing anything. I just couldn't believe it, man. I was like, holy crap, this is going to be insane. So I saw it, and then it started going around my little police network of friends, and the text messages started coming in, and man, it got as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah.
Did you think it was going to be as bad as it turned out right now?
I didn't think it was just going to blow up like that, but on the cusp of the Ahmaud Arbery thing and the Breonna Taylor thing, and then this thing, it has been a powder keg just waiting to blow for years, but I had no idea that was going to be the spark that set it off. No.
Now, say you're in that situation, was this guy, and again, obviously not being a police officer and not knowing the ranks of how things unfold with, when you're out there in the field, was he a superior ranking officer to the other three guys, where the other three just stood there and didn't do anything? Or, but even then, that just seems, it's wrong on every front that this thing unfolded the way that it did. Is there any plausible explanation why these other three guys didn't step in and do anything?
Well, from what I've been reading, Derek, is that guy was their training officer. He was the senior officer on the scene. Okay. So, just to think about it, there's no plausible reason for him to do that and for them to allow that to happen.
Right. But
most people do things, and this, let me see how I can say this. That wasn't the first time that guy did something like that. Okay. When people commit crimes, it ain't the first time they committed a crime. They done sketchy stuff like that before and gotten away with it. So he was that comfortable in himself to do something like that, along with these other officers being there, that he didn't have no problem doing it. And later on, we find out he had like 17 use of force complaints. So it wasn't his first rodeo, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Guys, even though they were new on the job, they were like, well, I guess he knows what he's doing. I don't give a shit. But let me just give you this story real quick. When I worked undercover years ago, we had raided a house, and one of the officers that was on my team, and I was a brand new trooper. I only had 2 years on the job. And after we handcuffed everybody, this one lieutenant picked this little black kid up from the back of his shoulder, and where you can almost dislodge it, just kind of manhandling him around. And I was like, whoa, stop it. The guy's in handcuffs. There's no reason for you to be, manhandling him like that. And he just kind of looked at me. But at least I had the intestinal fortitude with only 2 years on the job to be able to tell Lieutenant that I'm not for that foolishness. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For my people. I'm black. I don't want him doing that no, that's not good.
Right.
So I had enough intestinal fortitude to step in at that time. But can you imagine if you didn't, like these two guys? Yeah, then this is the bullshit that we have. Come on,
Right. Now, has there been in your department, at least to your knowledge, has there been a widespread change in training in light of all this stuff that came down? Or are they pretty much saying, look, what we taught you before is the way you're supposed to do things. We haven't done anything wrong up until this point, but we just need to be aware of what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you, I know I can't really talk about the agency that I work for, but I will tell you that the agency that I do work for, if you ever Google that name, Dwayne Gill, we're a very professional agency, and we're very ahead of the curve on a lot of things. I mean, we embraced Obama's 21st Century Policing Task Force recommendations back in 2015, 16, and 17, where we made sure everybody in the department had implicit bias training, had retraining on use of force. We are trained every year on the use of force and our defensive tactics and de-escalation techniques. So I like to say that I work for a very professional agency and that we believe in de-escalation of force. We have implicit bias training and things where we have already tried to turn the corner on this type of stuff. And we have a robust internal affairs unit who will investigate these type of use of force complaints. I mean, believe me, my agency will not spare the rod when it comes to somebody that does something that is outside of policy. You will be fired and you will be dealt with swiftly. I mean, I think you've seen some of that stuff in the news. So especially here in Michigan.
Well, and I think, when you hear phrases like defund the police, and when you heard that, I mean, it's like, okay, let's just defund the police. Now, and they're talking about, well, we'll let these different, what was the thought process behind it? We'll let these different social workers handle these situations. This to me seems like it's modern parenting, but for police work. We're not going to smack our kids. But we're just going to go ahead and have an educated discussion about why my 5-year-old is screaming in the cart at the grocery store and acting like a jackass. So we need to talk to the criminals and understand exactly what the problem is. So to me, that just seems, I was floored to even hear that phrase. And I mean, obviously you've been, sequestered since the whole COVID thing took place. But what's been going on as far as discussion amongst you and your colleagues when you hear phrases like defund the police?
Oh man, I mean, I'm like, what are you going to send a conflict, a conflict counselor, a conflict de-escalation counselor to a domestic dispute with some drunk hillbilly beating up on his wife from Taylor? Come on, man. You're not going to send some social worker from Ann Arbor to handle that situation, So we talked about, when we hear it, all I say is I think it's a bad branding to even say defund the police. If anything, it should be reform the police and make sure that situations that require a police response, we still respond to, but situations that don't require a police response, you enlist those social workers and conflict de-escalation people to whatever that situation is.
What would that situation be though?
Well, I mean, like, for example, if you got a barking dog complaint or something,
right?
You may, or a loud party, you may want to send some like some code enforcement person or something. Hey, keep the music down. I'll have to write you guys a ticket. I mean, what they're trying to say in defund the police is that not every situation that takes place requires somebody to respond that has a gun. Okay?
Gotcha.
This is what these people, Black Lives Matter, and what these people are saying. They're saying that not all responses require somebody to show up there with a gun. And you know what? I agree with that. We don't need to be doing everything for everybody. They try to put everything on us. When there's a situation when there's a mental individual that has a mental problem, let's send out a mental psychiatric contact team to deal with that. Okay. When we have situations that are civil in nature, let's send somebody that can handle it. we need to go and that'll relieve us to be able to handle the real crimes. Breaking, entering in progress, robbery, armed in progress, carjacking, murder, things that require somebody show up that has a gun and law enforcement authority. So let's not say defund the police. Let's say reform the police, reorient our focus, and get the job done. That's all. It's not. I should be the president. What you think? I think I know what to do.
No, I hear you. I mean, now what? Now when you see what's going on in Seattle,
oh boy,
where when I first heard they took over a police station, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. These unbathed hippies and their Starbucks and their hemp sweaters. And I don't care if you're from Seattle and you're watching this, you guys got to get your shit together.
They're wearing their Crocs and their Crocs.
Yeah, with their Crocs, exactly. And the dirt under their toenails, because that's a good look. And their backpacks and all their other crap and the patchouli oil. So I have a buddy of mine, he swears, it was so funny. He goes, this Seattle thing is going to end Waco style.
Oh, man.
What? And that was just him just shooting off the cuff. And I was cracking up. I mean, but it's a horrible thing to say. I mean, obviously talking about the Branch Davidian complex that was blown to pieces. But how does that even end in Seattle? I mean, there's got to be talk that you guys have amongst each other thinking about, okay, how, could this happen in Michigan at your department, which obviously I doubt that's going to happen. But how did it get that way, and how can it unscrew itself?
Well, from what I understand, because I have some friends that work for Seattle PD, and I've been talking to them in regard to this, because obviously this is a national thing, but that mayor is the one that allowed them to do that. That mayor she's the one that told the police to stand down. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to come out that mayor did not allow that police chief to do their job. And the police chief was trying to say, look, we can't have this. We don't need to give in to these people. And she's like, no, just let them have it. And her thought was that this is all just going to go away. Like the president said, COVID would. It's just going to all just go away. Well, obviously it didn't. And you've got that autonomous zone there. The latest thing that I've heard was today was that the mayor now, she's like, okay, this is enough. It's got to stop. Go home. Now, I don't know if it's just going to be her being able to tell these people to go home, that these Birkenstock wearing hippies with beards and unshaven faces and dirty toenails are going to go ahead and leave on their own. But I would hate to see them have to bring in police and just beat the hell out of everybody and kick them out of here, because it reminds me of an episode on The Wire, and you need to look at this. It's called Hamsterdam. On The Wire, they had an area where they made it an autonomous zone where they could have prostitution, they could sell drugs, they could do drugs, they could do whatever they wanted in this area. And that way, citizens in the rest of the town could live peacefully, and that this one area was considered Hamsterdam. And
it's called Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's called Las Vegas. Yeah,
it's called Las Vegas.
Exactly. So, so in The Wire, it ended where the police finally said, we're not having this. And they went in and they knocked heads and they kicked ass and took names and took the place back. I would hope it doesn't end like that, or even to the extreme of like a Waco thing. But that's going to have to end. And that's going to be a black eye on that department, as well as that mayor and that local government. Send
the mayor in. Let her sort it out.
Yeah, here you go. You
pull up in her little mayor car and say, all right, you go in there and you know what it is? This is like, remember when you were little and you did something stupid, and over at the neighbor's house, like if you threw eggs at the house or toilet paper, and your dad would stand on the sidewalk and make you walk up to the person's front door and apologize and clean up the mess that you did?
Yeah.
I think that's what the Seattle cops should do. They should make the mayor walk up to the door of the police department and make her throw all these people out.
Yeah.
And apologize to the police. And then she's got to go there with all those hippies and clean up the police department.
Yeah. I don't know.
I got ideas. No one listens to me though, Dwayne.
That's why we're drinking.
Exactly. You did undercover work in Detroit for how long?
I was undercover for a couple of years. I did 2 different stints of undercover work. Well, they call it narcotic investigations, right?
Right.
I did some in '91 when I first became a police officer. When I did work for Ann Arbor PD, and I can say that because I don't work for them no more. They pulled me right out of the academy to go undercover when I was like 27 years old, and I made like 18 felony cases and whatnot. And then afterwards, once I got the job that I'm on now, a couple years after being on the job, I ended up working undercover again on a team, a similar team, and they're called multi-jurisdictional task force, and they're made up of all the different agencies in that location. But I will tell you this, Derek. I was good at what I did. I was very good. I was really good. But I had conflict, and I had the conflict that I still have today, because I can still remember even after in '91, I would be sitting inside of a crack house or whatever, waiting on this bad guy to bring some drugs to me, and I'll be sitting there watching television, Flintstones with his kid, and his girlfriend would be in there making dinner and whatnot. And I'm saying to myself, man, they don't know that this house is about to get raided in a couple of days and everybody going to jail. And I had internal conflict about that, and I had to sit down with my supervisor, and I was like, hey, man, I don't know if I like doing this, because I'm ruining these people's lives, and they're scum and they're bad guys and they shouldn't even have a kid, that type of environment, this and that. But you know what? Unfortunately, sometimes people are doing things they have to do because they aren't able to do something else. And
right.
And I say that just to say that it's a hard thing to do sometimes when you're doing that. And I think it leads into when we talked about what's it like being a Black police officer in America nowadays. And so, I mean, we can get into that, and I'll be happy to give you my opinion, because I think that I speak for a lot of us. It's a really difficult place to be.
Well, I'm sure, you're in these situations and you're doing undercover work, and you've got to obviously build up the trust. And so you're building up a relationship with these people. So I think, as you say, people do certain things to just try to get by. And you can tell, I think, obviously you can tell the people that are genuine dirtbags versus ones that are maybe a go-between, just end up making some money because they can't make ends meet. So I can see where that conflict would arise. And you're sitting there going, man, I don't want to tear this family apart when I know that the real douchebag is the guy that's 3 blocks away.
Exactly. Yep. And you nailed it, man. And it was tough for me, and it still is, because like I always say, man, I wake up looking like this every single day. Okay. And when I get pulled over by the police, which I get pulled over a lot. Okay. And don't think it's because I'm speeding or anything. I get pulled over because I'm a Black guy that drives a 2015 Escalade, and the police are profiling me just like they profile every other Black guy. The only thing is that I've got to get out of jail free card in my pocket. Like one time I was leaving the Comedy Castle, Derek. I did a gig at the Castle, and the Castle, man, it's right next to the Royal Oak Police Station, right?
Yeah,
it's right across the street. So I walk out of the Castle. I got on a suit and I got my backpack, and I walk over to my Escalade, and I see this police officer drive around the corner, and he passes me, and we both kind of look at each other, looks at me, I look at him, and then he goes about his way. He sees I'm walking my Escalade. I jump in it. I go around the block to Main Street. I get up to Main Street. I make a left. I see him. He makes a left, and he's right behind me. Next thing I know, and I'm just, Main Street, Royal, it's right. People, I'm driving the speed limit in the left lane, just minding my business, and all of a sudden, this guy lights me up. I pull over. He walks up. He says, "Yeah, I need to see your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance." I said, "You're the same police officer just saw me walking out of the comedy club there, and I saw you turn the corner." "Yeah, that's me. I need your information." I said, "Well, first of all, I'm a sergeant with the blah 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 police."
I got you.
And you got no reason to be pulling me over. Oh. You with the soap? Yeah. Oh, okay. You're all set. And he ran back to his car. He jumped in his car and he took off. I mean, before I could even get his name and badge number or any, I looked in my rearview mirror. He was gone.
Right.
He was wrong. He knew he was wrong.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. And I could say, man, I got all kind of stories, man.
No, I can imagine. I mean, now how hard is it now in this time? I mean, really, whenever you hear these incidents that come up, like with the George Floyd case and everything else that's happened through the years, how hard is it being a black police officer now?
Well, it's hard, man, because number one, you're right in the middle. Okay, a black police officer is right in the middle. He's in the middle between people of his community that look up to him, and then he's in the middle of the people who he works for, who sometimes don't want him there anyway. You see what I'm saying? So
right.
Got people in my agency or black police officers got people in their agencies that don't want black cops there in the first place. You know what I'm saying? I've had young police officers come to me and say, hey, man, I know that we're really trying to recruit a more diverse agency, but the thing is, we can't do it when we got other officers that come to me and say, hey, just want to let you know, we're not big on this big push for diversity, and they say it to your face. They say it to your face. And so how do you reconcile being a part of something where people despise you the citizens despise you for what you do, and then the people that you work for don't like what you do, don't like you because you look like the citizens that they're trying to oppress. So, man, you see why I got a countdown clock of 2 years, 1 month, and 13 days. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it's crazy. I can
imagine.
It's insane. And then we get held back for promotions. We get held back from different positions. We get held back from all other type of stuff because they have their little good old boy network that they want to promote their boys. You know what I'm saying? Or when my agency was run by a woman for 8 effing years, it was the old girl network where she was promoting all her girls. You know, if you were in the clique, you wasn't getting nothing. So yeah, it's really sad. And then all of this right now, to answer your question, just exacerbates it. All it does is and it just makes it harder for everybody, man.
I can't imagine. Well, I would imagine that no matter what, whoever got promoted, whether it was, if it's any kind of a quote unquote minority, whether it was Hispanic, black, or woman, I think, again, if you're talking that good old boy network, they're going to say, oh, so-and-so only got promoted because they are blank.
Yes.
And so it's not, so no one's looked at it being the deserving person that got the promotion. Now, if you get the promotion and you're anything other than white, you got it because of X.
It's so bad. And like your boy, my guy, who's my best friend, who you had an opportunity to meet, you call him Carlton, okay? Because
he looks like a thin Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, guess what? He's number 3 in charge of our agency right now.
Wow.
He's number 3. He's at the top of the rung almost. So, but people say stuff like that. You hear that talk. Oh, the only reason he got it is because he's black. No, the guy's got a master's degree. He's got 2 master's degrees.
No, he's wicked smart.
He's wicked smart. He's done all types of stuff. Got a hell of an experience and whatnot. He deserves everything that he gets. And I would defend him to my dying breath.
No, he's a great guy. Tell Carlton I said hi when you see him again next time.
I will. We'll just keep him as Carlton here. Yeah,
let's keep him as Carlton. Absolutely. What? You're a cop, a Marine, a stand-up comic. What has been the scariest situation that has come out of any of those 3 professions?
Well, let's break it down. Okay. One of the scariest things that ever happened to me when I was in Marines, I was in Beirut in 1984. And I was on top of this building with the snipers. I was a radio man, and we were listening to fighting in the Bekaa Valley, which was a little bit east of us. And, rockets and artillery, the Levs, and they were fighting, the Christians and Muslims were fighting. But anyway, one time, all of a sudden, we were counting the explosions. And when you would hear a rocket go off, you would count 1001, 1002, 1003, and then boom. And that would kind of give you an idea of how far that is from you. Well, one time this thing came and it landed right next to us. Wham! And I was like, oh, we didn't even have time to count. So we're running downstairs and I'm just seeing rockets just hit in our position. And as I'm running downstairs this building, they had like a glass wall, that really thick glass that you would have in your basement. That glass that you can't really see through, but it's glass. All I can remember is when I was running down the stairs to get to the bunker, I just covered my eyes because I just knew that one of those rockets was going to hit that glass and was going to come in and get me in the face. So that was a very scary situation in Lebanon as a Marine. One of the scariest situations I've ever been in. Now, as a police officer, scariest situation I've ever been in, I did a traffic stop on a drunk driver once in Detroit off the Lodge Freeway. He was in the back seat. We're doing the paperwork, and all of a sudden, shots ring out. We're getting some sniper started shooting in our vehicle. I put it in reverse, backed up around the corner, got out, and I'm looking to see if we can figure out who's shooting at us. And all of a sudden, the drunk in the back seat is like, "Yo, man, y'all can let me go." And so, well, we never found the people shooting at us or whatever. But so those were two scary situations. The most scariest situation I ever been in doing comedy was by far more scarier than both those two situations. Much more scarier than those two situations.
Really? Sniper attack on a DUI pullover in Detroit and rocket attack in Beirut. You're going to try to tell me that some one-nighter in Muskegon, Michigan scared you more than both of those?
Oh, it ain't Muskegon. I signed up for a Apollo night comedy contest in the city of Detroit at the State Theater. Thought I was funny. This is before I met you. And I went on stage and I was going to tell some jokes. And it's 1,500 drunk people in this place. And I go on stage to Montel Jordan. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Right. Straight up. So I tell my first joke, audience laughs, and then I hesitate because I couldn't remember my second joke. And when I hesitated, all of a sudden, one person on this side, boo, 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 motherfucker, boo, get him off the stage, you suck, boo, and the whole place just turned on me. Man, it was like the show business hook came out, pulled me off stage, the Sandman came out. Man, that was the worst. I had all my family there to watch, friends. It was the scariest, worst situation I've ever been in. It was so bad. That was in April of 1995. I quit right then. I said, I ain't never doing comedy again. I quit for 7 years, and I didn't even think about comedy again until I went to that retirement party for Bruce that you and Sal
D'Amelio, yep.
You guys did it at the
Ann Arbor. Yeah, Bruce was retiring that year. Yeah, we did we did his retirement party at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase. Wow, yeah, that is funny. That is where I met you.
That's where
funny
I met you.
That was a 7-year comedic bomb that derailed you after that one time.
I said, I'm going to concentrate on being the police, okay? That's what I'm going to do. I said, to hell with this comedy thing. So that's when I talked to you, and I said, hey, man, I said, you were great. I want to get back into it. Give me some advice. And you gave me the best advice ever. Get a book, get this book, do this. And then you mentored me for those years, which I am humbly thankful that you did. Took me on the road, and you made me the guy I am today. And I want to publicly thank you for that.
You're very kind. Listen, you did it yourself. You had it in you the whole time. So it just took you 7 years to bring it back out. So that worked out. That worked out perfect. What comics career were you looking at, even if it was back then or even today, where you look at that person and you go, this is what I would like?
Man, you know who are obviously, I mean, I grew up watching Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, all that kind of stuff. But when I thought about becoming a comic, I wanted to pattern myself kind of like a D.L. Hughley. I love D.L. I love his style. I always loved his delivery. I love Bill Bellamy. You know what I'm saying? I love Seinfeld. These are all the people that my comedy heroes that I looked up to, and said, I kind of want to be like that. I want to be like that. I mean, of course, going on the road and hanging out with you and learning the business of comedy, because the performing part, as you know, is just 1/3 of it. It's just 1/3 of performing. That's the fun part. But you got to know how to market yourself, and then you got to know how to get the work. And you were able to show me those pieces a lot quicker than me having to figure it out on my own. And so you made me very successful in the business of comedy. And I would look, because you wasn't really that funny, but I would look, But I would look at these other guys that's up there and say, this is where I want to be, because I don't know about you, but I've seen like DL. I've been to see DL a few times, and I always marvel at any type. If my dream is to walk out on stage and the audience stands up and applauds me before I even open my mouth. That's when you know you've made it. You know what I'm saying? When you get
no doubt.
When you walk out on stage and people are like, "Whoa, whoa!" before you even say your first joke, that's when you know you made it, baby.
And then those first couple jokes better not suck.
They better not suck, man.
Because they'll stay standing up and walk their ass out and ask for a refund off of their $65, $75, $80 ticket.
I know that's right.
Oh man. So final question here. Have you ever had you were working street patrol, you pull somebody over. How many times, be it male or female, were you offered sexual favors to get out of a ticket or an arrest?
Oh man. Well, first of all, the only women that ever offer you sexual favors are the kind you don't want to have sex with. Let's just get that straight right now. Let's just get that out the way. It ain't never gonna be nobody look like Brooke Shields. It's gonna be like, hey, if you let me out of this ticket, that ain't never gonna happen. She's always gonna be Fuquanda with 7 or 8 kids. Is gonna be like, yo, you gotta be fine to be the state police because you sure are fine. And all them fine.
Oh boy.
It's gonna be Fuquanda. No, man, it don't happen, player. It don't happen.
Well, I watch too much TV. I see. Yeah, you watch shows like Chicago PD or whatever, or I remember going way back to NYPD Blue, and
that's all fiction, player.
All right, well, good to know.
That's all fiction, baby.
Hey, last question: what song do you put on to get a woman in the mood to put your cop shirt on?
To put my gun in the holster.
Put your gun in the holster. What love music? What's your song that that's your guaranteed go to?
I always find that all I have to do is just tell Alexa, play my Chris Brown playlist, okay? And because I like the young ones, you know what I'm saying? And you put on some Chris Brown, man, for these millennials. It's on the top.
You are my hero.
I'm just saying, man.
Buddy, you are the best. Check out your podcast, The Dwayne Gill Show podcast. Where can they get it? It's on Spotify and all the other platforms.
Yes,
where else can they get it? iTunes? Where else?
iTunes is everywhere. Apple, iTunes, Spotify. I'm also, I've got the video podcast. It's on YouTube on my channel. So it's everywhere, man. I have Esther Koo. My friend Esther Koo will be on this week coming up. So
nice.
You look forward to seeing Derek Richards on my podcast too.
I'm looking forward to being on there too. DwayneGill.com. See him when he comes to your town, and if he says, Alexa, play my Chris Brown playlist, get ready for some loving.
I'm glad she didn't hear that.
Dwayne, I love you, buddy. Take care of yourself, man.
Be good.